Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to the JAKIB postgame show, Week 18 edition, and your Philadelphia Eagles finished the year 14-3. Big Silz with a 20-13 win today over the New York Football Giants. Tanner McKee played pretty good out there, but 14 wins. What a season! What a regular season for the Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome in, everybody, to the JAKIB postgame show. I'm your host, Xander Krause. You see Big Silz over there with a grin on his face, ready to talk to John McMullen later on in the show. Big Silz, what'd you think of that game with Tanner McKee?
Holy cow, man. Tanner season. Wow. Tanner, man. They finally look like a passing offense out there, man. I really thought, you made a comment prior to that, man. When you were talking about Kellen Moore, it gives him an opportunity to really show you what he can do with spreading the ball around. And you got to say this. I'll tell you what I took away from it. Not only did he show you that he knows exactly what he's doing with the football, but he made common guys look good. Yeah. He made guys like Amos Smith, and he made guys like Dotson. Dotson. By the way, who's that guy with 94 yards? Holy shit, man. I know he's in a different role, like we said, but what do you have? 8 different targets in the ball game? I thought he was exceptional. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you walk out of that game going, hey, all kidding aside here, man, the kid can fucking play.
Yeah, he's a player. He's a player. Yep, he's a 6th-round guy that can play. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I don't think you have to go overboard. Oh, he should be the starter. But look, he can play. And Silz, I put it out there, and it's all fun and games. We like talk, joke, and Tanner, man, and all these funny things. He legitimately looked good to me. He legitimately impressed me as an NFL quarterback. The way he stood in the pocket, I thought he maneuvered the pocket well. I thought he handled the pressure well. There's some moments there where you see he's not so great at throwing on the run. There's some moments there where the arm strength looks a little bit lacking. Some of those balls don't come out fast, but he's accurate. He maneuvers the pocket well, and he can deliver a ball, man. I was impressed by what he did today.
Yeah, but I'll say this. One of those reasons that you're saying that is because that's lack of reps.
Yeah,
that's not because he can't do it. That's just because he doesn't get the reps that. Remember something, Xander? He's a 13 guy. He's not the second team guy, so he doesn't get the reps like the first team guy. Right. That comes with more playing time, in my opinion. By the way, I tell you this, Dallas Goedert looked fucking great. Okay, if he can play like that in the postseason, he is going to be a big-time weapon going forward. But again, I'm going to say it one more time to you. There's no question that Jalen Hurts, and again, I'm not saying this just for what I saw today. I'm saying this, period. Jalen Hurts doesn't spread the ball around like a common quarterback does in the NFL, and I don't care who that is. That could be Drew Lock or anybody. So he's kind of limited on what he does, and in being able to spread the ball around. That kid right there spread the ball around, man, and that's what that Kellen Moore offense is supposed to look like. And I'll say it again, man. I mean, we'll see how Jalen plays this weekend coming up, and it looks like it's going to be Green Bay. So we'll find out, man. I'll tell you what, he's been off for about 2.5 weeks. You know, he's been in that concussion protocol, which means this, Xander, the only practice that he got was that walkthrough, yesterday, and he's really not been there with the football team. So, boy, I bet they better not lay an egg in this one, man, because they've got a lot of things ahead of them, and they got a pretty good football team. I thought Vic even called a good game with all the backups. I thought the DTs didn't play all that awful. There was some pressure. I mean, remember something. These are second and third team scout team guys. Right. These are practice squad guys. I think
you have to factor that in, too, when you analyze Tanner. I mean, he's throwing the backups. He's got a backup offensive line. By the way, shout out to the offensive line, man. Backups, and they still look pretty good. Obviously not the starters, but they look pretty good from what I saw. They look better
than the New York Giants starting offensive line, and those were their starters.
Yeah, now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let everybody know, and thank you all for being here. Appreciate you all watching the post-game show. Don't forget to hit the like button. Silz, we got a couple things going on right now while we do the show. I got the iPad to the side so I can keep everybody posted. Commanders are in field goal range. If Commanders get the field goal and win the game versus Dallas, we're going to play the Green Bay Packers. The Packers have the lead as well. So if the Packers win the game and the Commanders, for whatever reason, don't get in here and score, we're going to be playing the Commanders. I will keep you guys posted on what happens in those games.
Excellent.
Commanders are down to 15 seconds left on the clock, but looks like they're going to have a short field goal to ice that or to send that game to overtime. It's 19-16. So if they get into the end zone, they'll win it. But I'll keep everybody posted on that. Big Silz, anything else stick out to you? What else stuck out to you from that game today? What other players stuck out to you? I have a couple in mind, but I want to hear what you have to say about, what you saw from today's Eagles backup game.
I like the way Shipley played.
Yeah, he runs hard, man.
He runs hard, and I'll tell you what he reminds me of. Again, he's not the player that McCaffrey is, but he's got a skill set like that. He can run in between the tackles hard, and he can catch the football. Again, I'm not comparing him to his career, but a skill set. He's pretty good with his hands. He's a really good back out of the backfield. I thought he blocked well. I thought he did all the components that were pretty good in there. I thought Gainwell ran hard as well. I'll tell you, Fred Johnson had another good game.
Yeah.
He's a good football player, man.
You know who stood out to me a little today?
Tell me.
Jordan Davis.
Yeah, Jordan
Davis
made some
plays. I'm not going to,
I saw flash plays. I did.
Yeah, he had some flash
plays. Those were the Giants offensive line starters.
Yeah. So we'll see. I thought he played pretty good. A couple other guys. I thought Trotter Jr. played good. I think he led the team in tackles. Last time I checked, he was leading the team in tackles. Still got some stuff to clean up, but I thought he was pretty good today too.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple times behind and couple false steps out there, but I thought for sure that he played pretty well. Again, there were times when I saw some false steps. What I didn't see though from the Eagles that kind of stood out was, Xander, going into the postseason, the pressure on the quarterback. To me, the pressure on the quarterback, that has to be something to be concerned about. You can't fix it now because we're here. This is week 18. You're going into the postseason with what you have right now. So we'll see. It looks like, from what I'm understanding, looks like the Eagles are going to play Green Bay.
Yeah, both of those games just concluded. So Chicago beats Green Bay on a field goal. Washington gets a touchdown and with 2 seconds left to Terry McLaurin. So Green Bay, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers will be the round one playoff game, baby.
Hey, and here's a significant thing to that. Love got hurt in that game.
Yeah, he was back, but he did.
He got banged up in that ball game too, so keep that in mind. By the way, I promised at least 5 of these throughout the post game. Dotson, I'll tell you what, man. Hey, he showed up, man. I was
94 yards. I wanted them to get over 100.
How about this? I was happy for him, man. The kid, I'm really happy. Man. He had 5. He had 12 catches rolling into this game.
Yeah, he had 7 today with 11 targets.
No shit, that's outstanding. Good for him, man.
Yep, and the other thing that just happened in the NFL world is the Titans clinched the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. So will they take Sanders? Will they take Cam Ward? Will they take Travis Hunter? Well, what will they do? That will be interesting to see how that goes. So
or trade it.
Listen, I know we got a game to talk about. It's a post-game show, but right now my sights are shifting, Silz. I'm ready to go for the postseason, baby. Green Bay Packers coming to Philly. Welcome to the Thunderdome, Green Bay. You might be able to beat the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas in the playoffs. Can you handle the city of brotherly love? Can you handle Philly, Jordan Love, and Little LaFleur? I don't know.
I'm a little bit nervous about only one player heading into this weekend, and that's Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong about that either. 2 weeks off.
And I mean the time off.
Yeah.
And the inconsistency all year in the passing game. I'm a little nervous heading into that game because let's think about one thing Green Bay has. Green Bay has a prolific running back, okay? And they have a quarterback who can keep that offense off the field. I think this is going to be interesting to see how much rust is going to be on. And again, a very limited passing game when he's in there, period. How this is going to play out and when, by the way, he comes off that concussion protocol. I'm assuming, Xander, that he's going to come off it Monday so that they can get a full week to practice.
Yeah, that's what I would assume as well. And we'll get some clarification on that from John McMullen. But it does look like, they were reporting now that he was out at the walkthrough So Jalen Hurts should be ready to go for next week. And it'll be interesting to see how this game plays out, man. I like the matchup right now, though. I feel good about it. I don't think Green Bay's playing their best football right now. They obviously just lost to the Bears, but they just haven't looked the same in the last couple of weeks. And I think it's a favorable matchup for the Birds.
I told you, man, I think their defense is suspect. I mean, it's been suspect all year, especially outside Xavier McKinney. I think they've been suspect on them corners all year. I mean, and then if I'm not mistaken, too, didn't Christian Watson end up getting banged up and carted off in that game, too? So you lose.
Non-contact, too.
It went, well, then it's totally a problem heading into this week. Doubtful, probably, for this coming up game here. So, hey, man, that's a good matchup then. You got a banged-up Green Bay team, but I would not take anybody lightly right now. The Eagles have to worry about what they're going to be able to do against this football team, Green Bay. One more time, my biggest concern is the elite quarterback, Jalen Hurts, especially after I watched what Tanner Manning did today, man. I want to see this guy be able to walk in there and win this game. It's going to be an interesting week.
Yeah, well, listen, there's certainly different styles of quarterbacks. That's very evident with the way they play. And
so's the play caller very evident.
Oh man, did I say that on the pregame show or what? I said he might have a little pass happy approach this week because he likes to pass the ball, and they've been running it a lot this year. And 41 attempts for Tanner McKee today, Silz. That's a lot of it. I don't know if Jalen Hurts has had 41 attempts this year.
How about this? Did you see that other number? That the 163 yards in the first half was the most by any quarterback in the first half all year long. I mean, and again, you're going to go like this. Well, it was the shitty Giants. Well, he's playing with all backups. This guy was making backups look good.
No,
I was really impressed with the kid.
Yeah, I was too. I thought he had a great game today, Tanner McKee. And I think he's given the Eagles something to think about with the quarterback 2 spot. I think you could potentially trade Pickett, or maybe even if someone came calling for Tanner, I think you have options there, and that's always a good place to be. Let's read Jason A-Team. Appreciate everybody watching the show today. Birds finish 14-3 on the year, everybody. That's a damn good regular season for this team. Jason A-Team says 14-3. What a year it was. JAKIB is king. Jahan Dotson. Goddard looks ready. Sidney Brown. Luck is awesome. So hyped for him. Ajomo, most underrated of the year. And watch out for Trot Jr. Let's kick some ass. McKee money. I like it, A-Team. Good stuff, brother.
How about this, Xander? Here's the seating as of right now before that, the Vikings-Detroit game tonight. Right now, it's Lions 1, Eagles 2, Rams 3, and in the 4 hole, still to be determined on that Buck game. Now,
the Bucks are up right now by 8, and I think the Falcons are tied, so that if the
Bucks win, they win it.
It's over, or the Falcons lose, yeah.
That's right. So right now, that's still out there for waiting to see how this game finishes. The Vikings or the Lions would fall in that 5 hole. And as you said, right now, Commanders are sitting in the 6 hole, and the Green Bay Packers are sitting in that 7 hole right now. So it would be Packers and Eagles, and it would be Commanders and Rams. And then the Vikings it would be the Packers and Eagles. Then it would be Commanders and Rams, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so it should be a pretty good playoff, good-looking playoff in the NFC. We'll see how it all plays out. Jarrell Ray says, Cilio, what the F are you talking about? Elite is about to show up. Woo! Belt to ass. Green Bay barbecue chicken with the sweet baby
2903. If we extrapolated out the numbers for Tanner Manning, he'd throw for $4,000 and 30 touchdowns. Wait a minute. So this guy had 4 touchdown passes in 6 quarters of play? Is that right? Holy shit. 4 TD passes. And what was John McMullen talking about in the pregame show? Drew Lock ain't better. Drew Lock's a bum.
Drew Lock is a bum. He was 22 at 29 today for 138, a touchdown.
Hey, I'm a waker you. It ain't no crow season until you hoist the Vince Lombardi Trophy, Junior. You ain't won dick yet, guy. Remember that. Only thing you won is admiration.
I'll tell you what, 14-3. Big Z was pretty close on the win prediction.
I'll tell you what,
I was laughed off the show by not only you, but McMullen as well. You're an Eagle homer. Eagle-colored glasses.
14-3.
Truth,
you better
justice, and the Big Z way.
You better win it. You better win it. Get this. You know what he's just done? He's just done this. Super Bowl or bust.
Oh, there's no doubt.
How you doing?
There's no doubt. What'd you think of seeing Saquon Barkley on the sideline today?
I thought it was bullshit. I mean, you're telling me that Giant team, who kind of played hard, wouldn't have had that 100 yards in the first half. Screw that. In the first quarter, he'd have had 90 yards in the first quarter if you would have played. Can you imagine if the Eagles played the starters against that Giants team? They would have put 60 points on them.
I know.
The backups beat them. Dude, if you're Brian Dable, second and third team Eagle guys beat your frontline guys. Kayvon Thibodeau and everybody was out there. Brian Burns and all them dudes were out there. You're like, they got a long way to go right now, man.
They do.
They got a long way to go, the Giants.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Birds win 20-13, everybody. Silz, who else stood out to you in this game, man? It was Anaya Smith made some plays in the game. How about that? He was running pretty hard, made some good plays in the passing game.
Well, when you have a passer that can get the ball to people and you can develop other guys, Xander.
Well, there's certainly no doubt that these things look way different, don't they? I mean, it looked way different today.
That coordinator looked different. The skill set people look different. Hell, I'll tell you what. You know what else looked good too? Like you mentioned. Hey, man, when you have a shitty quarterback back there, look at a Giant offensive line with Drew Lock back there versus Tanner McKee back there and the second team Eagle O-line. I'll tell you what. What I really liked also was looking over at the offensive line on the sidelines and how they all sitting together there and they're all congregating, talking. I guarantee you know what they're saying? We should have fucking rushed for the record. We should have rushed for the record. That's my feeling and how that thing looked. They should have rushed for the record.
Dude, we might have got that record in one quarter if we needed to
man.
with that crappy Giants team. That team is putrid, just a bad football team.
Bad football team.
Yeah, I don't think Brian Dable should be back.
No way. He'll be back as a coordinator somewhere, but he will not be back as the head coach. And why should he be back too? Hey, I always disagree with that. I disagreed with John when John was on the pregame show when he said, hey, man, I think these guys are all tied together. How he's not tied to Nick. How he's not tied to anybody.
Yeah,
okay? I mean, maybe if you look at Brett Veach and Andy, well, Andy brought him there. That was an Andy Reid hire, Brett Veach in Kansas City. That wasn't a Clark Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs, that a guy who he brought in. That's not what that was. Got to tell you, man, again, I thought that was pretty impressive, the way they went out there and played. Hey, man, I got to say this too about Nick. The guy fucked up the field goal again, and he missed it, Elliott. And then at the end of the game, instead of going for it, which he probably would have if he had Hurts in, what did he do? He brought the kicker out, and he had the kicker kick the field goal. I think he wants some positive mental attitude for the kid.
I thought
that was a good play.
I agree 100%. And I think that was completely about that and not about trying to ice that game. I think he wanted Jake Elliott to get out there and kick. And that was the right move. And by the way, in an all-time good football story, and if you're like me and you like football, Mike Evans, I just watched the Buccaneers came back onto the field. They had basically already won the game, and they get Mike Evans the 18 yards he needed to eclipse 1,000, and he ends the season with 1,003 yards. So big congrats to Mike Evans for an 11th straight season.
Breaks Rice's record.
No, Rice has for a straight
consecutive
14 total, right? He broke
for consecutive. He's the first person in NFL history to go 11 consecutive years of over $1,000. And I'll tell you what, maybe some of the most underappreciated yards. Let's not forget something here, Xander. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's been doing it for decades. And people have always looked at it. When you talked about the best wide receivers in pro football, would you put Mike Evans' name in the best wide receiver over the last decade? You probably would go, he's got that many yards. He has done that many times. I mean, maybe one of the most underappreciated football players in the league is Mike Evans.
Yeah, it really is so true. But he's one of my favorite players. And I know he's on a rival. He's on an opponent we don't like, but I do like the player. So I was happy to see him get that 1,000 yards. So good stuff for Mike Evans. So the playoffs are set with the exception of the Buccaneers will now play the loser of tonight's Sunday Night Football game. The Commanders are going to play
hosting them too, Xander. Hosting them.
Right, exactly. in Tampa Bay. The Rams are going to play the Commanders, and we're going to play the Packers. So those are going to be your first 3 games in the NFC. It should be good stuff all around for that one. So looking forward to that. Kenny Gainwell played a lot today, Big Silz. He had 11 carries, only 14 yards, but I was surprised they kept putting him back out there late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they put him back out there because they wanted to get a guy who was kind of reliable in being able to have the ball in his hand, because they wanted to. I thought when they put him back in, there was only one reason they put him back in, is just because they felt comfortable with him carrying the football, that he wouldn't put it on the turf and have a turnover. How about this too, Xander? Let me take a look at one stat here, team-wise, which is fucking unbelievable if this is the true stat of this game here on what these guys did for a team, because this would tell me about really great coaching. And I look down here. Am I right when I say this, that the Eagles had no penalties? Am I right? Or they had one. They had one penalty for no yards. That's a well-coached team with backup second and third team guys. You had one penalty in the ball game for no yards. That's incredibly well done. That is a really well-coached football game with guys who don't get reps. And if I'm not mistaken, they didn't have any turnovers, so you had no penalties, really. Yeah. And you had no turnovers in a game with all backups. That's a well-coached football game right there with the people that you have. And you've got to, once again, that was one of the better coached football games of the year for Nick and his offense and his defensive coaches. They really did a great job with the limited talent they had on the field.
Yeah, and I like the no turnovers. I mean, before the game on the pregame show, you joked.
No, I did. I thought
in the game. And I thought you were right in terms of just the backups, but only one turnover in the game total, and that came late obviously, by Drew Lock. So Birds get the win, 20-13. Big Silz.
How do you feel about them heading into the playoffs as a unit?
I feel really good, but I'm not going to – I mean, I'm going to be honest, as I always am. I'm with you. The one concern I have is Jalen Hurts. And it's not as much about his play. It's more about, is he rusty? Is he going to be in rhythm? You know, some of those things. How's the offense going to look coming into this game next week? That's the one concern I have. Now, I do think they'll get over that quickly. So if they can keep the Packers off the board in the first quarter, another team that starts slow, by the way, I think it'll be good. But I think the team is healthy, and they won 14 games this year. They're ready to rumble.
How much pressure is on Nick and Jalen heading into this year?
I think the most amount of pressure is on Nick. If you go one and done this year, there was already a report that came out from Jeremy Fowler who said if they go one and done, they could look to move on from Nick. I don't know how they could do that with 48 wins in his first 4 seasons, but that's what the report is. So I think the pressure's on Nick, man.
I'll tell you this too, man. If Jalen Hurts goes out there and he flops around, and you see what hold on, Kenny Pickett, and Tanner Manning, and you see average guys. Okay, let me ask you this. How do you think Tanner McKee would play for a full season with starters?
I think he would play pretty good.
You think he looks like Sam Darnold?
Oh, that's really good. I don't know about that. I think
wait a minute. Did you think Sam Darnold was going to – you still don't trust Sam Darnold.
I'm starting to trust Sam Darnold. Well, I just don't think you can throw for 4,300 yards in an NFL season, win 14 games. And by the way, in the NFC North, which is the best division in football this year, I got to give him credit.
But
man.
I'm still going to do this, though. Hey, dude, he's never been in a playoff game in his entire fucking life. You want me to sit here and go like this? Hey, man, that guy had a really great regular season. All of a sudden, this guy doesn't turn into a pumpkin. Hey, man, I got to tell you, I'm with you. Every week, he put more assets and more equity behind what his season was. But let's do this. We all agree. This is about the postseason here too, man. I mean, when I look at him and I go, well, what's he going to look like? I don't know. That to me is always when you have an unknown, okay? Jalen Hurts, watch this. What do you think of Jalen Hurts in the postseason, Silz? I don't know. He's gotten to a Super Bowl, and he played great in the game. I mean, I could land on that pod. You know what I mean? I can't land on any pod with Darnold in the postseason. I don't know, okay? I mean, golf, I can. 2 NFC title games, a Super Bowl. He's taken 2 different teams to conference champ. You can land on something with that. With Sam Darnold, I'm like this. I don't know. Even Jordan Love, dude. Hey, went into Dallas last year as a first-year starter, blew out the Cowboys. There's something to land on. With Darnold, maybe that's to his advantage, just like it was with Foles. Nobody knew what to expect. And I think maybe that's really something, too, that Minnesota leans on.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right about that. Who do you think wins that game tonight? That's going to be a great game, Silz. That's one of the ones I'm obviously really excited about watching.
Man, I tell you, man, you mentioned the point. I thought it was in Minnesota, but, I said earlier, Minnesota, but it's in Detroit. It's at Ford Field.
Yeah.
Damn. And here, they're working on a short work week, Detroit. They ended up playing really well last week, Minnesota. Darnold threw for 377 and 3 touchdowns last week. Golf was insane as well. I think this is going to be a high-scoring football game tonight. I think you're going to see teams in the 30s tonight. And I'll say this, I think the last possession, whoever has the ball, I think wins the ball game. I think that's who wins it. And if I have to do this, I'm going to backtrack on this here, Xander. I think because it's at home at Ford Field, I think the Lions win this ball game because I think they have enough on that defensive side. However, Minnesota's playing better ball and they're healthier in this ball game than what Detroit is. This is going to be one of the better games of the year because I've never seen this. 28-4 between two teams in the final week of the season to determine home field advantage. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I wonder if the winner or the loser of that game, who's going to fall to the 5 seed, I wonder if that's going to have any bearing on when the Eagles play. Because remember, they could be on Saturday or Sunday next week, and you might wonder if the Vikings, let's say the Vikings lose tonight, they might put them on Sunday.
I know you might put them on a Saturday because they're the 2 seed and put the second highest rated team on a Saturday and the number 1 rated team on Sunday, Lions or Vikings.
Yeah, I want the Sunday game.
I don't think you're going to play the top 2 seeds on Sunday. I just don't. Okay? You got to spread it around. I think wait a minute. The top seed wouldn't play. Minnesota would play. Maybe no, Xander, that's right. Detroit wouldn't play because they get the bye. They'll play I believe that they'll play the Eagles Sunday. For the wild card, because they've got a 14 win, they'll play Sunday. Okay? Could they play Monday? Is there a Monday night game?
I think there is.
Okay. Could you play Monday night?
Let me look. I'll look at the wild card schedule. There is a Monday game. Monday game. So
they may drop the Eagles on that Monday night game.
Yeah, there's 2 games Saturday. There's 3 games on Sunday, and then there's a game on Monday night. So it'll be interesting to see where we fall on that. Let's go to a couple super chats from the great people. We appreciate all of you guys in the chat today. Big win, everybody. 14-3. That's the Philadelphia Eagles record for the year. Big Silz doesn't want to hear it, but 14 wins is a damn good season.
14 wins. Nice job, guys. There you go.
Josh Herman, here we go. Silz will like this one. Put him in with the starters. I want a QB controversy. Wishbone.
We have one. Are you kidding? We have one.
No, we don't.
Well, I'll tell you what. If he loses, we will.
All right, you have my word. If he gets bounced in round 1 and he doesn't look good, everything's on the table. This team is too talented, man. I just watched Tanner McKee throw for nearly 300 yards with Jahan Dotson.
There's number 3, Dotson. Hey, Xander, I'm gonna tell you, man. Okay, nothing's nothing until it's something. I'm just gonna go Jalen Hurts on you here, bro. That team 14-3 gets bounced, and all of a sudden you see 29-03 and 18. That's his new nickname, 29-03. You better hope that guy does not lose. I'll tell you this. I won't even give that guy the benefit of the doubt if he loses the NFC title game. You can't have that, man. You can't have a guy with $2,000.
It depends how it looks, though, right? I mean, if you lose like the Lions did last year in the title game, you can live with it, but you're not going to.
Oh, you're going to live with it.
If he comes up and drops a stinker, yeah, it's a different story.
Okay, hold on.
Listen, you can play good games, Silz, and lose. I mean, look at the Super Bowl. Jalen played amazing in that game and lost. If Jalen looks like that, nobody's calling for anything. If you can't pass the ball and you get 110 yards passing, yeah, there's going to be conversation.
Got this, guys. Listen what Big Z just said. If they don't get it done the last 3 years, 39-12, and they don't deliver anything, how you doing? Okay, good, all right. Hey, you get those consolation prizes? And you turn out to be like Hillary Clinton getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom at the participation trophy. How you doing?
A-team checks in. He says Fred Johnson, Keegan, and Steen are NFL starters. Eagles' O-line depth is way better than expected. They all deserve money. Yeah, it's a credit to Stout you, man. But you're right. You're right, A-team.
Absolutely. I thought the O-line played really well, man.
Yeah, I thought they did too. Riding the bench checks in. He says Tanner showed what the offense looks when it's on schedule. McKee proved, in my opinion, he's better than Kenny. I agree.
Hey, they're going to move on from Kenny Small Hands Pickett.
All right, let me ask you a question.
I'll tell you what, also, too, you mentioned something to me throughout the year that it was evident on. The height of Hurts versus the height of McKee. I think he sees over those guys being 6'6" like that.
6'6", dude.
Okay, but you know what they lose? They lose the tush push. That guy looks so unathletic in that tush push. Yeah. McKee today. Hey, dude, that thing would be put to retirement if he was a starting quarterback. They lose a lot in that because he looked very unathletic doing that tush push.
Now, the Eagles aren't going to make this move, but I'll ask you it anyway. The Eagles will use Kenny Pickett as their backup quarterback.
Yes.
You don't think they would think about maybe making Tanner McKee the number 2 and then putting Kenny as the?
You know why would you think they would never do that? Because they want to move him and keep the equity and the value of him going into that. Now, if the game popped up, the question
I don't know. Can we just run through a scenario here? If Jalen got hurt next week, who would you feel better about coming into the game? I'd feel better about McKee.
I do too. However, he's not yet. And so what they're going to do is, even if they're going to keep him 3, Xander, they could still do this. Okay, we're going to put McKee in, but have Pickett in the 2-hole. They don't want to lose the value in the offseason of moving the guy because he's going to get an opportunity. Some team is going to call the Eagles because the Eagles are going to be willing to move him.
Eagles just put out a message, a 300th win for Jeffrey Lurie. Today marks the 300th of Chairman. Today's win marks the 300th of Jeffrey Lurie's ownership, including playoffs. There you go, Silz.
Yeah, and he's 17-17 in the playoffs since 2000. He's got 1 Super Bowl and he's 1-2. Very underachieving guy.
Any update? No update yet. I'm going to try and look. I'm obviously doing the show. So if you guys in the chat see something, keep me posted. Do me a favor and keep me posted. I don't know if they put out when the Eagles will play, but we're all curious to see when they do play that game.
I think it's Monday or Sunday.
I have a feeling that the Vikings are going to be Monday or Vikings or Lions. One of those two is going to get the Monday or Sunday because they're playing Sunday night and they played all their starters this week versus the Eagles kind of had a bye. So they might put them at Saturday.
Let me ask you this, okay? Let me ask you this here.
Humper says Sunday game, though, so I'm not sure if he's right, but we'll see.
How about this? I mean, how do you feel about the chairman winning his 300th game? How do you think his tenure's been as owner?
Well, when you're comparing him to previous,
this will be a huge topic for me on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only owner I've ever seen, but I've heard about owners in the past that sucked. Obviously, I've read about them all in my Eagles encyclopedia that I use, but he wins a lot. Now, you haven't ultimately won as many championships as you like, but I think he does a lot of things well. I think he does a lot of things poorly, and I think certain things that happened in his tenure affected him in negative ways, such as Chip Kelly, where he gave up all the power to somebody. They didn't take care of his team, and I don't blame him. He didn't like that. So now he doesn't like to give up full power. He likes to keep his hand on everything, and I think that ultimately does more bad than good. But overall, I think he's been a fine owner. He's not my favorite dude in the world, I'm not going to lie to you, but he's been a pretty good owner.
Chairman Mao has done a really nice job. He really has done a nice job.
It can be a dictatorship, though.
He
owns the fucking thing.
Hey,
let me ask you this: is it a dictatorship in the Cilio household? What you say goes.
No. What my wife says goes.
See, okay, I can't relate. What I say goes in my house.
That's Mrs. Chairman Mao in our house. Okay, I mean, so just to let you know, no, dude, guess what? I'm a serf. Okay, I'm a peasant. So no, I'm just saying. I mean, look, okay, hey, 300th win. This is how I look at it as a guy looking down at all you. A land of Munchkinville down there in Philadelphia. This is how I look at you Munchkin Philadelphians. I look down and go, Hey, man, this guy keeps you around the rim. He wins a lot of football games. There is no question about it. It's a winning franchise, but it's not a championship franchise. Do you think he's anything in the room with Bob Kraft?
Not even close. Bob Kraft has 6 titles.
But not only that, remember prior to that, he also got the football team to a Super Bowl with Parcells, and they ended up winning an NFC title.
Is there any owner in the room with Kraft?
What?
Is there any owner that's in the room with Kraft?
He's not in the Hall of Fame.
Jeffrey Lurie?
No, Bob Kraft's not.
Oh, he will be.
He was passed over twice already.
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, to me, when you have that many Super Bowls, what the hell more do you need to get into the Hall of Fame as a winner?
Hey, I think maybe you need to stay out of the massage parlors in Orlando.
Right. That might be more about it. Might be more about the massage parlor than anything. So
No, actually, all kidding aside, I think 300 wins shows you that. Get this, you don't lose a lot. Okay, and anytime there's a problem, you know what 300 wins to me means? That, dude, have you guys had back-to-back losing seasons? When's the last time the Eagles have had back-to-back losing seasons?
Back-to-back. Let's see. I know we won, 4 or 6 games after Chip Kelly on his last year. We won 4 games on Doug's last year, but then we bounced back 9 and 7. Back-to-back losing seasons might have been a long time ago, man.
I don't remember the Eagles having back-to-back losing seasons where franchises have back-to-back losing seasons. What does that represent to me? Well, there's a problem. They fix it immediately. And I think that has a lot to do with Howie and that salary.
Brandon's right. I think it was Andy's last 2 years.
Andy's last 2 years, and part of the probably one of the reasons why he got fired, because they didn't see it getting turned around, and they wanted that thing turned around because, dude, I don't remember the Eagles having like consecutive losing seasons like that.
No, they don't do it often.
They don't do that often, man.
So there's no doubt we're a winning organization.
Man. Oh, absolutely.
And where I think you're right is we're not championship yet. We got 1 title, and it was with backups. It wasn't done based on us assembling the best roster. It was kind of one of those.
Xander, if you win another championship, I put you in the category with the Ravens.
I agree.
Ravens only have 2. I'd put you in the Ravens.
I agree.
And by the way, I think the Ravens are one of the top 5 winning organizations in all of football. I would put Jeffrey in that Steve Biscotti room with the Ravens, because then you start validating the 300 wins with 2 Super Bowls. 2 Super Bowls in what, 4 appearances? I got to tell you, man, that would validate a lot of that if they're able to get that done.
Yeah, we'll see what goes on here. Brian Pumper says, Tanner McKee, QB1. Thank God we don't have to face Jaden Daniels. That MFer scares me. Keep Jalen Hurts away, because that MFer scares me too.
Hey, Brian, no way, baby. They're going in with 2905, baby. 2905. They're going in with one of the elite. You know what? I'll take this back. He's not an elite passer, but he's a really good football player for sure.
Yeah, Chris, I kind of misspoke when I said that. I didn't mean not assemble the team the right way. I meant you didn't do it with your starting quarterback and all your It was one of those, flash in the pan Super Bowls to me where I don't want to say you got lucky, but you don't go into a season expecting to win a Super Bowl with your backup, right? No. I mean, that's just not what you do. So that's what I meant by it. But I don't mean that. You're right, Crispy. I kind of misspoke there. Sorry about that. Jeff S. checks and he says, Silz, I said earlier in the year that McKee could run the offense better than Jalen, and you laughed. He's good.
I did laugh. Jeff, he's a 6th-round draft choice, and there he is. Who else was a 6th-round draft choice that ended up going on and doing things? What's the guy's name?
Brady.
That's right. Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft choice, and now you got – that's it. We're from now on – because he was drafted in the same round as Brady, he is Tanner Brady. How you doing? Hey, I can't wait to get McMullen's ass on here. He kept telling us today, Drew Lock's better. You see that kid throw the ball around the yard?
Drew Lock is not better than Tanner McKee. I'm not buying that for a second.
Hey, what about that kid Neighbors talking shit to the Eagle fans? And his team is a 3-win team, and he's giving them the business. I was like, hey, son, you might want to win a couple more games before you start talking shit like that. If I was sitting in the stands, I'd have given that guy the raspberry a couple times. That was bullshit. He's like, yeah, I'm going. Look at
he's a good player, though, man.
He is a good player.
Have you seen his numbers and with who's throwing him the ball?
I did. Yeah, I know. No, again, he's the guy's throwing him the ball, and you know that. But hey, son, you won 3 games this year. How you doing?
Yeah, really. All right, I'm waiting for the update on when the Eagles will play. Right now, I'm getting some reports Sunday at 4:25. We will see what that is. I'll keep you guys posted about that on here. M. Reyes checks in. I knew they'd get 14 W's. Let's win the bowl, baby.
I knew they'd get 14 wins.
Jarrell says, Cilio be on my nerves. Jarrell's not happy with you, Big Silz.
Jarrell, did you see that kid today, man? Tanner Brady made that offense look exactly what Kellen Moore wanted it to look like all year. Hey, and by the way, once again, I saw quarterback play on an elite dual threat guy on Saturday. His name was Lamar. That's what that fucking offense was supposed to look like. Not that bullshit 2903. From now on, he's dubbed 2903. An NFL quarterback in 2025 with 2903 in 15 games is pathetic.
He missed 3 games.
Okay. Okay. 2.5 games.
3 games.
Okay. 2.5.
He played 10 plays of that other game and threw the ball 4 times.
Yeah. Okay. He played in the game.
He missed 3 games, Silz.
Come on, man.
Leon Banks checks in. He says Jordan Love effed up his throwing elbow too, LFG. Yeah, they got some injuries. Then Watson went down today. Listen, the playoffs is about playing your best football at the right time. The Packers are not playing their best football right now. They have taken a step back in the last couple of weeks. They are certainly not playing their best football. I do think it's a favorable matchup for the Eagles.
Okay. Hey, man, I got you here. Well, no question about it here. No question about it. Let's see how these guys play. Let's see how these guys play.
Here's an interesting quote as we talk about Jordan Love right now, next week's opponent, okay? And this just came out a minute ago at his press conference. He says, I pretty much lost all feeling in my hand. He said his hand still feels numb as he stands there talking at the press conference, but he indicates the belief is he'll be fine for next week's game against the Eagles. I don't know what to make of that.
No, neither do I. I have no idea.
Lost all feeling in his hand and still missing it?
Hey, if I'm the Eagles, I worry about the Eagles right now, not worrying about Love right now. Go take care of business. You're hosting the home game. Let's get it done.
Let's get it done. I like it. Clary Void checks in. Intermediate passes with our tight ends. Not used to that. Yeah, they used a lot of that today. A lot of intermediate stuff.
Boy, I think that's what they should do a lot against Green Bay. That intermediate passing game. But they can't, and they haven't all year long. The tight end gets missed for whatever reason. I wonder what AJ thought of how he spread the ball around. Okay? That's what it's supposed to look like. I loved what they did offensively, and when it came to play calling, I liked the play calling, man. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was. No doubt about it. Good stuff. Paul Barbarian checks in. Mike Evans is like a 6'5" version of Steve Largent.
I would say this too, Paul. If you want to make a conversation about it, he's also like Marvin Harrison a little bit. Reliable, great routes, does all the great things, and knows how to get in space. And for a big dude, knows how to get open.
Johnny Mack will join us in just a little bit. So he's talking to Nick Sirianni now, and then he's coming up. So we'll talk to John in a little bit here on the JAKIB postgame show. Looking forward to doing that. Brian Pumper says, it's McKee for me. Hurts can hit the road, Jack.
Yeah. Go get him, Pump. Hey, we'll see. Pump. This is what's going to happen. Xander's put it out there. Everyone here. M. Reyes. Don't come up short. Don't come up short. Okay? Do not come up short.
This is where you've set
terrible.
This is where you've set the new bar, right? You're going to be ripping this team all off season if for anything less than a Super Bowl.
That's what we said at the beginning of the year. If you're going to win all this and you're going to spend all this and you're going to have all these expectations, it's Super Bowl or bust. Hey, dude, 14-3 don't mean dick. That's 2 14-win seasons. You ain't won.
What it does mean? You know what it does mean? There's a little column over here. There's the Big Z box and the Big Silz box. Put that as a check in the Big ZW column.
Here's what Z has. He has participation trophies in that box. Big Silz goes for the gold. Big Silz goes for the win.
Look at Brandon. Brandon, are you trying to get me in trouble, Brandon? Look at Brandon. He says, Xander, ask Silz what he thinks how he can get for Hurts in the trade if we win a Super Bowl.
Oh,
Brandon, you trying to get me in trouble, man.
Oh, my God, man. Hey, just so everyone has an update this coming week, there's high winds coming. So Communist California may be shutting my power off again.
Oh, no. Not in the playoffs.
Hey, I'm with you. Oh, I'm going to get a generator.
No. What you're doing is you're getting in your Hummer and you're driving to the nearest library. I don't care if it's 100 miles away. You hear me, Big Silz? You hear me, brother?
Too big a week. I'm with you, man.
All right, good stuff. We're going to get to our first commercial break. We'll have John McMullen joining soon. I got a bunch more super chats to read. The Eagles, 14-3. Everybody. Tanner McKee had a good game today. He finished up with 269 passing yards. He was 27 of 41 with 2 touchdowns and a 100 QB rating. So he had a great game today for Tanner McKee. Jahan Dotson, how about him? I got to stop my criticism.
Number 4.
Yeah, I got to stop my criticism. 7 catches for 94 yards today on 11 targets with a long of 19. So very good game for Jahan Dotson. And then Dallas Goedert got out there. Now, he did have the drop, which I thought was maybe a little bit of shaking that rust off. But other than that, he looked really good too. 4 catches for 55 yards.
Hey, man. Hey, all I'm going to tell you, man, I'm watching Jahan Dotson. There's 5, okay? I may have to give you some extra ones. This guy's making catches left and right, looking like a first-round draft choice. That guy gets in the game with Hurts. He looks like a stiff. Come on, man. Even Amos Smith looked good.
I like this comment. I'm going to use it again here from, I think that was Leon that asked that. How concerned are you with Jake Elliott going into the postseason?
A lot.
Level of concern 1 to 10.
How about this? Okay, wait a minute. From 20 to 40, not so much. Plus 40.
He missed a 39-yarder today.
Okay, 40 to 55 in there. I have no faith in that. I have more faith in the tush push than I do the field goal right now. If it's 4th and 2, I may go for that instead of the field goal.
That's a problem in the playoffs, Silz. You need those points.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not sure what Jalen Tebow can do when he's out there. I mean, I got to be very careful because I don't know if that guy's going to be able to throw us into a win. Jalen Tebow. I mean, kind of,
Jalen Tebow.
Jalen Tebow, 2903.
That's a brutal nickname.
Oh, man. Jalen Tebow. You hear that, Pulp?
Let's get to our first commercial break. Appreciate everybody for listening. Hit that like button. We'll be back in 3 minutes on the postgame show. We'll talk to John McMullen live from Lincoln Financial Field. The line has been set, by the way, for the Eagles' first playoff game. I'll tell you more about that after the break. Stay tuned, everybody.
Ignite your nights with free